So welcome everybody to the latest TILT webinar, TILT standing for Technology and Language Teaching. Today is the 14th of October 2021, and it's my absolute pleasure to be hosting Michelle Worgan, who is live from Spain as we speak. So Michelle is an ELT author, so English language teaching author, and also Michelle taught for 20 years teaching English in Spain. And I saw Michelle speak at the IATEFL conference back in June of this year. And I was really impressed by what Michelle showed us about how to have an interactive, immersive experience using Thinglink completely for free. So I was absolutely delighted when Michelle agreed to give us an extended version of that presentation. And I know that everyone's in for a real treat this evening. So I'm going to hand over to Michelle. If you could introduce yourself, give us a little bit more background, if that's okay, and then we'll sit back and enjoy. And if people have any questions, feel free to put the questions in the chat. It's helpful for me if you put a queue in front of the questions so that I can then collect them very easily, and then we'll do the questions, particularly the technical questions around Thinglink, etc., towards the end of the session. So over to you, Michelle, and thank you so much for agreeing to do this.
Thank you very much, Joe, for that lovely introduction. As Joe said, I've been teaching in Spain for, well, over 20 years. I live in a place called Jerez de la Frontera, which is down in the southwest of Spain. And I've taught all ages, all age groups, but now I tend to specialize more in primary. But what we're going to look at today could be used with, I think, all age groups, from primary, secondary, and even adults. And as a teacher, I was always trying to find new ways to bring new ideas and new approaches into my lessons. And now as a materials writer, I'm also interested in task design and how to design tasks using technology to improve the language learning experience. So today we're going to look at creating interactive digital experiences for students. And the only equipment that students will need is a computer or a mobile device and an internet connection. So they don't need anything fancy or snazzy. So this is what we're going to be doing this evening. We're going to be looking at how to create a 360-degree scene in Thinglink, which is the tool that I'm talking about. We're going to look at task design and what are some of the things that I think we should consider when we're designing a task. I'm going to share a few tips and tricks from my own experience. And then after that, we're going to do a practical demo. So we're going to actually go into Thinglink and create a new adventure together. So first of all, one of the reasons why I like these types of immersive digital experiences, like the one we're going to be looking at today, is that I think there's been more of a need for them recently. In the last 18 months, I think we've had many changes in our classrooms and the way we teach because of the pandemic. So that may have been social distancing restrictions in classrooms, or an increase of online teaching, or even hybrid classes. I'm not sure about your own situations, but here in Spain, a lot of language schools had hybrid classes where some students were in the classroom and some students were at home using Zoom. So all of this has created, I think, more challenges for us as teachers. So what challenges am I thinking about? Well, I think one of the things that it's been more difficult to do has been to make learning real. It's been harder to bring the outside world into the classroom and show students how they can use the language they're learning in the real world, which I think is really important as language teachers. It's also been more difficult to motivate some of our learners, especially the teenagers, which is quite difficult at the best of times. And I think it's been harder than ever to keep our classrooms learner-centered, especially when it's been online. So with all this, a digital adventure like the ones we're going to look at today, I think, can make things a little bit more engaging for students. So we're going to look at how we can achieve this using interactive digital adventures, but we're going to think about some principles that I think we need to keep in mind when we design a task for students. So we want to design an experience that engages all our learners. And here are some things that I think we should take into consideration. So first of all, I think we need to think about, oops, sorry, just clicked on that. We need to provide authentic input. And by authentic input, I mean things that real, whatever language you're teaching, could be texts, videos, audio, whatever in that language that's real, it's authentic, it's a real use of the language. We also need to make sure that the tasks are of the correct level for students, and that's both linguistically and cognitively. The next point is we should provide opportunities for learners to use the language that they're learning in a meaningful way. I also believe that we should include communicative and collaborative tasks. I think in the language classroom, this is especially important. We can allow learners to work independently. I'm a big fan of learner autonomy and agency. So any kind of activity where the learners can work independently, whether that's individually or in a group, I think is ideal. We also need to make sure that the digital adventure is user-friendly and easy to navigate, especially if we're asking students to access it by themselves. And it also needs to be accessible to all learners with relevant support where required. So we're going to come back to these principles a bit later on, once I've shown you an example of the type of digital adventure that I mean. So it's time to explore the tool, which is called Thinglink. I'm not sure if any of you know this tool, but I love it, and I've created lots and lots of adventures and scenes in it. And to show you what it's all about, we're going to look at an example that I've created. Now, in this demo, if you want to, you can use your own device to explore it. Using the QR code that you'll see on the slide. But don't worry, because we're going to explore it together. So as we move through the scenes, I want you to imagine that you're controlling the cursor as I move around, okay? So I'm now going to share the adventure with you. So you should now be able to see on the screen a room with lots of chairs in it. Can everybody see that? Can you just somebody type in the chat box?
Yeah, we can see it. We can see it, Michelle. Okay, this is fantastic. All good.
Okay, so I want you to imagine that you are in this place, okay? And as you can see, I'm moving the cursor around the screen, so we can turn around, we can look up, and we can look down, because it's a 360-degree image. And you'll see that in the scene, we've got some yellow hotspots, as we call them. Okay, so when we hover over these or click on them, they are interactive. So we are in the conference room. This is your first adventure. And if you were accessing this by yourself on a phone, you would swipe. If you're on a computer, you would drag your cursor. And if you were wearing a VR headset, you would just move your head like this. So let's start our adventure. And we're starting with a communicative task. You are attending the amazing Tilt conference, where you meet lots of new colleagues. Tell your new friends, and you can use the chat box for this, first, what language you teach, where and who you teach, so the age groups, and also to share your favorite tech tool, seeing as this is the kind of technology group. So your favorite tech tool. So if you can write these answers to these questions in the chat box, that would be great. If we were doing this in a real face-to-face workshop, then I would ask you to discuss in groups or in pairs, but here we need to use the chat box. So feel free to type your answers so that everybody else can see them. Do we have any other English language teachers here? English, okay, Maria teaches English in primary school, age 10 to 15. Oh, and the favorite tools are Kahoot, Quizlet, and Quizzes. Nice. Anybody else want to share your answers to the questions? Quizzes, yeah, I thought it was Quizzes. I thought maybe that I'd been spelling it wrong myself all this time. Sandrine teaches French and Spanish, Key Stage 3 and 4. Look it, I'm not aware of that tool, actually. That's I'll check it out. And word war. Okay, feel free to continue typing your answers in there. I'm going to move on so that we've got time to explore everything. So you've been at this Tilt conference, it's been amazing, but it's finished now and it's time to go home. So you're going to go into town. So I'm going to click on this hotspot here, which will take us into town. So we're now in the busy shopping streets in town. Where are we? Let's find out. We're in London. Good for shopping. So you can see this is a map that I've embedded. So as usual, it's raining. Surprise, surprise. This is why I live in Spain. But luckily, you've got a good umbrella to keep you dry. If you listen carefully, you should be able to hear the rain. This is a nice umbrella. So you do a bit of shopping and then you decide it's time to get your train. Oh, but we've got a question before we can move on. So the Tilt conference was, or should have been, I think, held in Dorking. But in which county is Dorking? Do you know? Is it in Buckinghamshire? Is it in Sussex? Is it in Surrey? Or is it in Hampshire? Type your answers in the chat box if you can. I don't remember the answer because I didn't know where Dorking was, I have to admit. I've been out of the UK for a long time. Jerome says Surrey. Any more answers before we choose one? Google says sorry. Oh, someone's cheating. Okay, so sorry, we'll choose sorry. Looks like it was the correct answer. So now we're in the station, ready to take the train home. So you might want to grab a quick sandwich, maybe a meal deal from Boots or WH Smith that we've got over here. And then, oh, this lady comes up to you and asks you, excuse me, where can I buy a ticket? So where in this scene might you be able to buy a ticket? Any ideas? Maybe here at the ticket machines. Yeah, self-service tickets. Well done, Maria. Okay, so let's go and get our train. We have another question. What did you enjoy most about your trip? The food, the weather, the conference, or the parties? Bear in mind that you've been in Dorking. I have no idea what Dorking, maybe it's a lovely place, but I'm not sure how much of a party atmosphere it has. Laura says the parties. Maybe we'll try the parties. Oh no, it wasn't the parties. They weren't the best thing. The food, español con rosa. In this, I'm surprised that Español con Rosa has said the food in the UK. I think we're going to go with Joe's answer, the conference. Of course it was the conference. That was the best thing about your trip. Of course it was. Okay, so now, where are we now? We're in the classroom. So it's now the next day, it's Monday morning and you're back at school and you have a class starting in 10 minutes. There's number 2 here. But you haven't had time to plan your lessons because you're at the conference all weekend. So what do you do with your students? It's in 10 minutes, you don't have much time to prepare. So what are you going to do in this lesson with your students? Feel free to type your answer in the chat box. Does anyone have any last minute lessons prepared? Any last minute ideas? Or are you all fabulous teachers who have everything planned well in advance? So Laura says she will talk about her trip. Nice idea. In the TL, what is the TL?
The target language, TL means target language.
Okay. Target language, yeah, okay. Compare and contrast, Charlene says. Lots of speaking activities, Jerome. Okay, so you've got through your lessons. It's the end of the day, end of the teaching day. But of course, you haven't planned your lessons for the rest of the week. So we're going to go to the library to do that. And here we are in the library. We've got some magazines over here which look interesting, but you've got a lot of work to do. So maybe we should sit down at the computer. So you spend a couple of hours planning your lessons for the week. And you got so many ideas from the conference that planning was really easy. But you've still got some marking to do, as always. It's late though, so you decide to take your marking home and do it after dinner. So let's go home then. But we have another question. Which of the following is not on the magazine covers in the library? So you've got 4 options there. Let's see if you were paying attention to the magazine covers. Do you want to look at them again? Joe Dale says Joe Dale. Well, I don't know. Maybe you were on the magazine covers. Shall we have a quick look again? You zoom in a bit, zoom out. Can anyone see Joe Dale there? No? Okay, so let's choose Joe Dale. And it's the correct answer. Okay, so where are we now? We're on a tram. It's home time. So you take the tram home, you're so tired that you fall asleep. And you start to dream about the future of modern language teaching. Nice dream. And here I've inserted a Flipgrid. Obviously we can't use that now because I would need to have you as members of my class in Flipgrid, but I just wanted to show you how you can insert a Flipgrid into the scene. Okay, so here I would have asked you to share your ideas for language teaching in the future, but we're not going to do it. So you wake up from your dream about the future of language teaching and you find that the tram has stopped and you get off, but you don't know where you are. You're in a strange place. You're in this street. So you're in a strange street, you don't recognize it, so you can have a walk around and explore. There are 4 streets. Which way will you go? There's nothing interesting up this street. Oh, can anyone spot the spelling mistake there? The typo? It's a dead end. Maybe we could go up this street, but it looks quite steep and you're really tired. So, nah, don't want to go up there. Maybe down here. Oh, but this is where you got off the tram. What about down here? Do you hear some noises? You hear that? What's that? Did you hear that? What do you think you will find at the bottom of the steps? A football stadium, football fans. Any more ideas? Stadium? Okay, let's go with, I'm going to put football fans in because I know the correct answer. This is just an open, could be a question that has a specific correct answer. So yes, you're all correct. It's not, well, it's not quite a stadium, but it is football fans. And they're all in a park. So this park is full of football fans. Look at them, they're everywhere. Singing, chanting. Oh, where's number one? Lost it. Okay, so in the park, it's full of football fans and they invite you to join in with their celebrations, but you're really tired and you still have all that marking to do. So you decide to go home. Here, I'm not going to ask you to role play the conversation because it's impossible in Zoom, but it would be that kind of activity in a face-to-face classroom. So we're going to cross the park and walk down this road down here. But which team do these fans support? I think somebody already answered in the chat. Do they support Borussia Dortmund? Do they support Boca Juniors? Do they support Stoke City? Or do they support Fenerbahce? Okay, everyone seems to be clear on this one. Yes, the yellow shirt, it's Borussia Dortmund. So down that road, you come to a pier. There's nobody around, it's really quiet. So you decide to wait for the boat. It's a nice day, look at it. I know this is quite strange weather for England, but okay, so then the boat arrives and you get on. And it's a really nice day. It's so good to get some fresh air after spending all day indoors at school. So nice boat trip here. But you wonder where the boat will take you. Where would you like to go? We could go to the beach, we could go to the mountains, or we could go back to that street where we were before. Your choice. Where shall we go? Where shall we go? To the mountains, to the beach, or back to the city that you just left? A couple of people want to go to the beach. Oh, I think everybody wants to go to the beach. I can tell you live in the UK. I did do a session like this before with a more international crowd, and a lot of them wanted to go to the mountains. Obviously, being in the UK in October means you want the beach, and luckily that's where we're going. I'm going to turn the volume down. So we're at the beach, and guess where we are? Any ideas where this beach might be in the world? I'll give you a clue. It's not the Isle of Wight. Rachel, you're correct. We are in the Bahamas. Look, That's where we are. Well done. Have you been there? So you're in the Bahamas on the beach, but what are you going to do here? You can either mark your students' homework or you can go for a swim. What will it be? Mark homework or go for a swim? A swim, yeah? Shall we go for a quick swim? For some reason, okay, so we are in the water in Bimini, however you pronounce it, in the Bahamas. Near Miami. Some fish. Well, maybe not fish. Sharks. Baby sharks. They're coming right up close to you. And remember that I'm moving around the scene. You would be doing this too. You can choose where to look. Oh, that's a bit scary. Now maybe we should get out. Should we get out? Let's get out and go back to. Oops, I need to put it back in full screen. Oh no. Oh, sharing has paused. Oh, what's happened? There's always going to be some kind of technical thing. Okay, for some reason I've gone back to the original scene. So
we can just see the white a white slide now, but that should be okay if you just click on new share.
Yeah, but I can't, for some reason it's kind of gone out of full screen. So I'm going to.
Do you want me to pause the recording until we get back to what you'd like, or what do you think?
Yeah, okay, if you want to.
If I pause the recording and then if you stop sharing, etc., and then find the slide you want to share.
Yeah, because it seems to have frozen. So I'm just going to reload the page. That's it. We've got out of the water, but you've still got that marking to do. So let's go and find a shady spot under the palm trees. Over here. Yeah, this looks like a nice place to do your marking, doesn't it? Lovely. But actually, you're not going to do that marking. Forget about your marking. The trip's over, and here comes a waiter with your choice of refreshments. You're on holiday, so enjoy yourself. It's time to relax. Listen to those waves. Okay, so that's the end of the adventure, the demo. So I'm just going to go back to my slides. This tool, Thinglink, allows you to use a 360-degree image. So all of these were 360-degree images, and you can use your own, but there are some in the Thinglink library that you can choose from. At the end, I'll share some links with you. I think I've got a blog post on my blog, which is a tutorial on how to create your own 360-degree image using your mobile phone, if you're interested. But you can find them online. In fact, all of these I found online. And you can embed any resource or activity with an embed code. YouTube videos, Flipgrids, games, puzzles that you've created, Google Forms, and we'll see this when I show you how to do it later. So going back to our list of principles from before then, you can provide authentic input by embedding videos from YouTube, by embedding audio files, links to websites with articles for students to read, etc. Obviously making sure that they're the correct level for your students, because if it's too difficult, if the language is too difficult, but also the task is too difficult, then it will be frustrating for students, and they're not likely to complete the adventure. You can give students tasks to do together. They could be communicative tasks where students work together to solve a problem or complete a puzzle, or they could find some information online like a web quest or do a role play. You can design it so that students work individually or in groups. The Thinglink interface is really easy to use and intuitive, and the icons are clearly visible. So you'll notice that I numbered the different things in the scene because I wanted students to do them or I wanted you to do them in a specific order. So you can do that to show the progression through the scene. And finally, one thing that Thinglink has that I didn't include here is it does have the option to provide reading support for accessibility if you include text. And even I think it has the option to translate text, which might be useful. So a few reflections, a few lessons that I've learned whilst creating these types of resources. First of all, the equipment. You need to know what equipment you have, and you need to check the specifications to make sure that Thinglink will run properly. You need to have a Wi-Fi connection that's strong enough to have several devices connected simultaneously if you want students to work on their own devices. Bear in mind that if you want to create a multi-scene tour like this one, it will require more bandwidth. And I think you need to check this before you start designing a long tour with lots of different scenes, because I know that I've had problems when using the mobile app, where it's kind of got stuck between scenes. So make sure you check all these things before. It's also useful, not with Thinglink. I think Thinglink is, because it's for education, it will be around for a long time, but there are similar tools that sometimes they just stop being available for educational use. So it's worth checking that too. And I've learned that the hard way with other tools. And then the logistics, you need to think about how many students you've got and how many devices. Students can work in groups, as I said before, with one device between them, preferably a computer or a tablet, so that they can see they can all see what they're doing. And I think that's better for two reasons. First of all, it requires less bandwidth, and secondly, it means that students have to talk to each other and work together. And a final tip is to embed media into the scene rather than inserting links, external links, because a link will take learners out into a new tab, and then they need to get back into the Thinglink scene, put it in full screen again, etc. So it's easier just to have everything within the scene. And one of the things that I've always tried to include in when I'm designing adventures like these is to make sure I've got communicative tasks. And there are a few ways you can do this. So you can involve learners in the creation of the materials. You can get them to contribute to the Thinglink scene. They can upload audio to it. They can write little text boxes. They could even record videos, and you could upload them. With a free account, they'll have to do it through your account. But you can just get them to email them to you or send them to you through your school platform, and then you can upload them yourself maybe. You can include discussion tasks. You can provide choices. It could be like a choose your own adventure. I pretended to give you choices. I didn't really give you choices, but you could provide choices and have different options. And you can include groups problem solving tasks, as I mentioned before. I'm going to move on because I want to show you how to do it, and time is flying. Thinking about the type of adventures you could create for secondary students or even primary, here are a few ideas. Remember that you'll need to source a 360-degree image to use as the background of your scene. So I suggest that you do this first before you plan any content, because you might not find a picture which is suitable for what you want to do. It's quite easy to find images of city streets, squares, natural areas. And as I said before, you can take your own images with a mobile phone. So one thing you could do is maybe try to find images of historical sites and then have students imagine they travel back in time. There are even images and videos of the International Space Station that I've seen online. So that could be quite interesting for the topic of space exploration, for example. And then shopping centres and restaurants can be great for role plays, for bringing role plays to life, and also for presenting useful vocabulary. There are lots of rooms and home scenes available. So you could have students go on a tour around a home. I've actually done this with students as well and had them be like estate agents and uploading audio describing the room, for example. And you could try and integrate the Sustainable Development Goals. I designed an adventure called Save the Planet, where students had to explore the climate emergency and learn about possible solutions. So you could kind of integrate that too. And you can also even find some 360 videos on YouTube for video games, things like Among Us, which all the kids are into, and you can embed videos in the Thinglink, just like I did with the Swimming with Sharks video. So there are lots of options depending on your students, their ages, their interests, and your learning objectives. So now's the time for the practical part, and we're going to create a Thinglink scene together. Now I'll be creating it, but I'll be kind of involving you in the process. So the first thing we're going to do is start with this map of the world, which I've created, and I've already added some hotspots that will take us to different places. We're not going to be able to go to all of them because we won't have time. So we need to decide where we want to go first. And I'm going to post a link in the chat box so that you can open this Thinglink, hopefully. And there should be a poll there. And I'm going to now take you to that screen in a minute. So I need to go back to Thinglink. And open the map scene. I find it. This is the one. Okay, so if you go to that link, you should hopefully, fingers crossed, be able to see this map. And with this yellow question mark, there is a poll for us to decide where we want to start. Let me know if it doesn't work, and I can just click on it for you. You can click on your answers if you prefer to put it in the chat box. We can go to the Grand Bazaar of Isfahan in Iran. We can go to Stansted House in the UK. We can go to the Callejón del Embudo in Bogotá. We can go to Escape Park in Brazil. Or we can go to a garden in Nairobi, Kenya. Where would you like? Well, where shall we create our scene? Because I've already got the images ready, so the scenes are already there. But you can choose which one. If you want me to vote for you, then just type the country in the chat box. Jerome says Brazil. Doesn't look like the poll's working, no?
Well, I clicked on Nairobi, Kenya.
Oh yes, there's two. Okay, so maybe
it has come up. It has come up.
Oh, yeah, I've got two. Okay, yeah. But we've got a draw at the moment between the skate park in Brazil and the Grand Bazaar of Isfahan. Any last votes before we decide? Okay, well, we're gonna go to the Grand Bazaar of Isfahan just because it's here. So this is this is where it is. Okay, this is the place. And we're going to go to that scene, which is a blank scene. Okay, I haven't added anything here yet. That's what we're going to do now. Okay, so it's a market, it's a bazaar. And now I'm going to show you how to edit it. So I need to remove full screen. Oh, this has gone funny again. Resume share, it's not letting me. Sharing is paused. Bring your shared window to the front.
Shall I pause the recording again?
Yeah.
Yeah, if I pause the recording.
Yeah. So we're going to edit it. We're going to click on this edit button here. No, that's not the one, hang on. If we were going to edit the map, this is what we would do. I'm going to find the correct scene, which is the Spice Bazaar. And we're going to edit it. So we can add a tag. For example, a text and media tag, just a text label. We can embed content, or we can create a tool with a hotspot. So first, we're just going to add some text, which I've already prepared, little short description, and I'm just going to paste it into the description here. And I'm going to change the icon to maybe number 1, so that's the first thing students see. I'm going to make it yellow so they can see it clearly. Okay, so we've got one hotspot and I can move it to wherever I want. If I click on settings and scroll down, I can add some audio. I can add a background soundtrack. So here I've got one ready. So you can hear that market sound background sound effects. Okay, so click on done to save it. And we're going to add, no, turn it down. I'm going to add also a Padlet. I'm going to embed a Padlet, okay, which I've already created. So this time I'm going to click on add content from websites. I'm going to change the icon to question mark, just to show you the different things you can do. I'm going to copy the link to the Padlet and paste it here. And there my Padlet appears. So again, I can move that somewhere else. For example, over here. And then I'm also going to add a video about this bazaar so that students can find out about it and check their answers from the Padlet. So to add a video, again, it's add content from websites, and I'm just copying the YouTube link and I'm pasting it in here. And there we have it. I'm going to change it to a video icon, like this play. Okay, and again, I will just move that somewhere else in the scene. Okay, so I click on done, and then if I want to we can see this. I'm going to put it in full screen. Now we're in the scene. This is what students would see. Okay, they'll be able to move around the scene. They would click on number 1. They would read the text. They would click on the question mark and the Padlet would open, and they can write in the Padlet here. So for example, what do you think they can buy in the Isfahan Bazaar? Any ideas? I'm just going to write something so that as an example, like spices. Yes, someone put spices. Spices. Okay, and you see it appears straight away. Figs and dates, someone else says. Well, figs and dates. Yeah, also, you know, as it's a Padlet, they could also upload images, etc. Yeah. And then the video, which is over here, again, they can just watch it in here. Yeah. It's a video of somebody walking around the market, so they will be able to check their answers. Yeah, so all of this is really easy to just include in your Thinglink. Okay, let's go back to the map and choose another place. Where would you like to go this time? We could go to Stansted House. We could go to the skate park. I think that was the second answer, right? The second choice was the skate park. Now let me find the skate park. Skate park. Oops. Okay, skate park. So we're going to add some content to the skate park. So let's click edit. And in this, for the skate park, I think we can add, oh, what's this? That's, imagine if, oh, I seem to have embedded a Flipgrid without realizing. I was playing around with it before. Okay, so we're in this skate park. There are kids skateboarding everywhere. And I'm going to insert a video that I found. So again, I'm going to add content from websites. I'm going to copy the link and paste it here. And it's like a tutorial on how to skateboard. Again, we're going to give it an icon, play icon. Click on done. And we can also add a poll. Now this is, as I said, this is a new, I added the poll to the map. This is a new feature and it was the first time I tried it. So let's try the poll. So this is at the bottom here, create poll. So we need to ask a question. So for example, a question we might ask students could be, have you ever tried skateboarding? Yeah, and I can give different poll answers. So yes, no, and I'm an amazing skateboarder. For example, yeah, it's just an example. I'm going to change the icon to, what would be a good icon for a poll? Maybe a question, maybe a microphone. Okay, so that's there. So I'm going to click on done and we'll view it just to see what it looks like. Yeah, so again, it's a 360-degree image. Here's a video, the video, how to skateboard for beginners.
My name's Aaron Cairo, and I'm a professional skateboarder from the San Francisco Bay Area. I've been skateboarding for over 20 years and teaching people how to ride their boards for a very, very long time.
Okay, so that's the video, and then here the poll comes up, have you ever tried skateboarding? And students would be able to click on their answer. Okay, do we have time for one more? Maybe I have something a bit different. Oh yeah, so I've got one for Stansted House Music Room. I've never been to Stansted House, I don't know about you. It's this kind of stately home. So in this one, I'm going to add a link to a website. So that will be text and media, and I'm just going to copy and paste that in where it says button URL, but I can also give it a description and say, for example, read me. Yeah, and maybe choose a book. Maybe there isn't a book. No books. Okay. Question mark. A magnifying glass then. Okay, I'm going to put that here. And I'm going to embed a quiz. Embed content from website. I've already created this quiz using Google Forms. I don't know why that's not appearing there. I copied it wrong. Well, let's see in a minute. Am I going to choose this icon? Okay, let's see if that's worked. So in this lovely, lovely old house, we've got some information. So obviously this is a link, so it will take them out of the full screen, which is why I'm not going to click on it now because of our Zoom troubles. But what you could do is, well, I guess you could create your own text, although I think there is a limit to the amount of text that you can include. And the Google Forms for some reason isn't working. But you can embed a Google form or any other app or any activity that you create that has an embed code. You can just embed it into the Thinglink. So for some reason that's not working. I haven't shown you how to insert a hotspot to take you to another scene. So for Stansted House, I actually have another room. So we're going to add a hotspot. So again, add tag, but this time click on create tour. And this time I have to choose one of these scenes that I have already created. Okay, and this time it's going to be the kitchen at Stansted House, and I'm going to give it an arrow and just place this, oops, over here near the door. Okay, click on done. And now when we click on that arrow, it'll take us to the kitchen. Okay, there we are. So that's what a hotspot is. It's a button that takes you to another scene. And here we could add more content. There's so many things that you could include in these types of scene. But you do need time, I think, to create everything. So I think as we've only got like 5 minutes left, I'm going to go back to the presentation and then we'll have some questions. I think there have been a few. So to find, where's my, here's my slides. Okay, so where is the last, oops, I'm going the wrong way.
Should we do some of the questions now, or do you want to?
Yeah. The only last thing that I was going to say is that I haven't mentioned headsets, but you can use a headset if students have got VR headsets. I mean, I don't think most teachers have got a set of class headsets, but you can do, and it does make it much more immersive. The only thing is that it makes communication and collaboration more difficult, because if students are wearing a headset, they're not going to be talking to the other students. Yeah, but it does make it more more exciting and engaging. So yes, questions, please.
Fantastic. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank you, Michelle, for an absolutely brilliant, clear explanation of how you put this together. I think it's fantastic. I've been really inspired. I'm sure other people in the chat have been really inspired as well. And thank you so much for sharing the links as well. We had one question about the presentation. Are you happy for you to share the presentation with us in addition to the recording? Is that okay? Yeah,
I can send you. I can share. I don't know how I would do that. Do I just email it to you?
Yeah, if you send me the link. What Helen does, Helen Myers, who can't make it this evening, she very kindly makes a web page for every Tilt webinar that we do. So in that web page, it will have the recording, the presentation of the presenters happy to share, and then we normally include the chat as well. So okay. Everyone viewing this or subsequent people who are interested will get everything that we can share with permission, obviously, of the presenter. So that's fabulous. So I really appreciate that. Thank you. Lovely. Wow. So we got some questions. The first question earlier on was, how long did it take you to make your first virtual tour, and how long does it take you now? Great question.
I don't know, because I've been playing around with this tour for quite a while now, but it creating the scene itself doesn't take a long time. I mean, you can see we've just really quickly added some content, but you need to plan it beforehand, obviously. So you need to plan all the things that you want to include, make the activities, if you're using other websites to create them. And, you know, it's the planning, like with the creation of any materials, you need to plan and create those materials first. So actually making it in Thinglink doesn't take that long. And once you get the hang of it, because it's really quite easy to use. I mean, you would probably see, I was there clicking away and probably going too fast, but it's not difficult. You get the hang of it really quickly. I will say that creating something like the one that I demoed with you before, that does take a long time to make, but it's because of all of the planning and the storyline as well. You've got to kind of plan and do a storyboard if you're going to create an adventure. So that's what takes time.
I was going to say, in relation to a storyboard, is that what you would recommend? Because I was thinking, if I was doing this, I would maybe have like a piece of paper and a good old pen, and maybe do lots of little boxes, and then draw arrows saying how I want them all to link together. Is that how you plan these sorts of tours out that are a bit more extensive?
Yeah, I think that would be a really good way of doing it. I mean, I haven't done it like that myself, but I think it would help actually, and especially, you know, if you like doing things on paper and having just so that you know the sequencing of it, and it's that would be a good way of planning an adventure. Yeah.
Fantastic. So
especially if you were going to do, so, for example, I mentioned before, making it choose your own adventure. That would require a lot of planning and a lot of, you know, pieces of paper and that. So I'm not I'm dared to do that myself, just because I think it would be really, really difficult to plan. But yeah.
So if you wanted to say have a short immersive experience, like say for example, when we were in the ocean with the sharks, that was just amazing with the sounds and everything. What would you recommend, say in a standalone lesson? Would you recommend, I don't know, say 3 scenes and show how they link together? And then would you advocate having it sort of teacher centered in the way that, you know, with us, I appreciate it was through Zoom, but you were sort of directing us through, you were dictating the story and what have you, and then asking us for answers. Is that what you would recommend for someone, say, starting off small, as opposed to making a great big virtual tour with lots and lots of scenes?
Yeah, I would definitely say start off small. I mean, maybe just even with 1 scene just to start with. You can insert lots of different things in that scene. In fact, I've had scenes with well, I don't know how many, but you know, with text, with activities, with videos, in 1 scene. And if you number them, I mean, it depends on if you want students to do it in a particular order. If you number them, that will show them the order. You don't need to have lots of scenes. I just think it makes it more interesting, and obviously for a longer kind of project. Regarding the dynamics, personally, prefer to avoid teacher-centered activities. So I'd rather, but obviously students will need to have devices, so it depends on your setup to do it by themselves. But I would always, my preferred dynamic is group work for this type of thing. So I would have maybe groups of 4 or 5 with 1 device, like I said, a computer or a tablet or laptop, and have them working on it together. Because I think this type of thing is much better for students to be in control of, and for them to you know, go through the adventure, and rather than it being, you know, the teacher asking questions. And you can insert all of those questions into activities in the scene, so you don't need the teacher there for that. Yeah,
no, definitely. I think it's fabulous. And what's the feedback from the students when you do these sorts of activities with them? Do they really love them?
They do. I don't use them very often, actually, because that's the whole thing, isn't it? With this type of thing, if you do it all the time, then it's going to lose its interest. So, but what you could do, for example, I think, is to maybe, if you wanted to create a longer scene, a longer adventure, then you could maybe just every lesson they could have 5 or 10 minutes on it, you know, so not rather than having the whole lesson in Thinglink. I think that would be a good way to do it. But yeah, they do like it. I mean, I did the Save the Planet one, and in fact, one thing I will say is that it takes longer to do, as in for the students to go through the adventure, especially if you've got games and activities embedded. It takes longer than you would think. Yeah. So if you're doing it for one lesson or for a short amount of time, try not to over plan, to provide too much, because it does take longer than you expect.
Fantastic. One point that you were making about not wanting to click on the link because it would then take you out of the Thinglink and go to a new page. I think that's particularly important if the students are working on a mobile device, on a phone, because you don't want them to be coming out of the Thinglink and then it's a faff to then come back into it. I think having everything embedded is exactly the way to go. That's wonderful. Yeah. We've had a question from Eric around the 3D images that you've been showing us. Are these images that you've either personally taken or have found on the Thinglink website, or where would you recommend finding these sorts of 3D images to use in these sorts of virtual tours?
So the video, the boat video, that was actually, I got that on Thinglink from the Thinglink library. But one thing I have to say about videos is that 360-degree videos, you can't use them in the free version and share them. They don't work. I think that only works with a paid plan. So for example, if you go to the QR code and go through the adventure yourself, you'll notice that I haven't included the video one because it won't work. I think all of the other images, the ones in the one we did just now, those are from the Thinglink library, I think. But a lot of the images in my demo are from Wikimedia Commons, which is a Creative Commons, so like Wikipedia, it's like a Creative Commons database. So you can use them with attribution. So I don't know if you noticed, but there were little photograph icons in all of the scenes with the attribution to the photographer. So that's a good place to look. You need to look for equirectangular, or I can't remember exactly. There are different types of 360-degree photos. But when I show the presentation, I think there's a link on there to my blog where I explained all of that.
Lovely, that's brilliant, because I'm sure people would love to get started, to get an idea of where to find these great pictures and then go from there. That's lovely. Okay, we've got a few more questions if that's all right.
Yep.
Another question, this is sort of my question. I was thinking about the background sounds. Where do you find those background sounds? Do you use a website, or do you create your own, or how does that work?
Yeah, so I usually get them from a website called Zapsplat. Don't think I have a link for it, but it's called Zapsplat. I'll just type
so ZAPSPLAT, is that right?
Zapsplat. And again, that's kind of Creative Commons audio file. So they've got music, they've got sound effects. I think you have to register, and again provide attribution for the soundtracks. But yeah, it's really good. They've got lots of background sound effects, like cafes or people in a street with traffic. You can spend a long time listening to things to find the right one. But yeah, it's a great website for that.
Lovely. And with the background sounds, can you decide how loud each background sound is, or is that just to do with the master volume on your computer?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'd have to check that actually.
Okay.
Because when I was doing it, because I was kind of narrating over the top, I was just turning down the volume on my computer because it's with Zoom. I'm not sure I'm not sure about that. One thing that I didn't mention is when you create a scene, you can also set it so that it starts in a specific place, a specific view. So you can because it's 360, if you want students when they open it to be looking here, you can set that direction as well.
Brilliant. I noticed there was a banner on the Thinglink that you were showing about the limit. So could you, well, my understanding is that you can, with the free version, you can have up to 1,000 views. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah, I can't remember how many it is now. Yeah, so normally this wouldn't affect you if you're just using it in a class. But if you share it on a blog or do a talk about it and then share it on a blog, then you're going to have more views. And so yeah, there is a limit. And there's no way of getting rid of that banner without paying for a pro educator account. You don't really need a pro educator account, I don't think. It depends on how you want to use it, because if you want students to make their own, then I think you can have up to 60 students, or from 60 to 120, the different levels. You want them to have their own accounts associated with your account as a class, then you need to have a paid account. So it kind of depends on your circumstances.
So what you would recommend maybe is, as a teacher, is that you have your free account and then the students share assets with you that you can then include, and then that would be one way of doing it. And as you say, if it's just working within your class, it's very unlikely that you would exceed that limit. But if you share it anywhere more public, then that would be different, I'd imagine. Fantastic. I think we just got one more question, which is instead of the Google Forms that you embedded into the Thinglink, do you know if you can use other formative assessment tools such as Kahoot or quizzes? Have you tried those out as well?
Yeah, I don't think I've embedded them, but if they've got an embed code, you should be able to embed them. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can. Anything that's embeddable should work. Again, it's a matter of trying things out.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'd officially like to thank you so much for showing us how to practically, well, first of all, for us to have that immersive experience. That was wonderful. And then to go on and practically show us how to put that together. It's been an inspiration. It's been really lovely. So thank you so much, Michelle. Yeah, and I'm sure everyone in the chat as well, we can see different people. Laura, thank you very much, Michelle. Espanol con Rosa, wonderful. Thank you so much. Jérôme, really good. Just lots of really practical tips, and you could I'm sure everyone watching this could make a virtual, just maybe a scene to start off with, and just see what the students think of it. And I thought it was great, so thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Lovely, excellent. Okay, so we're going to stop the recording now. There we are. Fantastic.